Alright, $0 build is no longer a $0 build. We're at $162. We're in October now, obviously, but I haven't made any purchases this month. So the first one is thinners, and that is this general purpose thinners down here from Supercheap. Okay, and that's what I'm going to use in my primer. Always have, always will. And we're going to have a conversation about primer in just a couple of minutes. So that's that one from Supercheap. And that was $41. Alright, second purchases are the fillers. So that's one I purchased from Supercheap. Septone. Excellent brand. Their fillers are good. All their products are good, really. I love their compound. But yeah, that's Metal Tech Filler. We used to call it Metal Mend. And I'm pretty sure if I could find my old tin, it would be called Metal Mend. But anyway, now it's called Metal Tech Filler. And then my son bought me this. This is, in my opinion, my absolute favourite filler. But it's expensive. For this build, I would not have personally gone out and purchased this one because I'm doing it on a budget. And I would have used the Septone one from Supercheap, which is absolutely top grade stuff. No problems with it. Only issue that I would say is that it gets air bubbles in it, so you've got to mix it a little harder. That's in the filler. This Evercoat Rage Gold, no problem with pinholes. It is the smoothest, easiest stuff to apply. It is absolutely beautiful to sand, and I've put it in a lot of high quality cars that I've done without any cracking, no issues. But again, like I said in the last video, I don't put a lot on. You don't want a lot on. You only want the smallest amount of filler you can get. But yeah, Evercoat Rage Gold, you buy it from your local automotive paint stores. So for us here, it's Feature Paints. But yeah, definitely recommend it. A lot more expensive though. I think that was about $91 for that tin. So that's where that 121 comes from, I think, on the board. So, you know, we're moving ahead. We're about to do some fills when I get this front of this roof done. Now my son also bought me these, and I have to add these to the list, from Supercheap. He bought me an abrasive poly abrasive disc. That's the one I call the coral disc or the stripper disc. I don't know what it was worth. He didn't tell me. And he bought me these metal cutting discs, which I'm extremely grateful for. Wouldn't be my first choice if I was going out and buying them, because I find that the ones you buy at Bunnings last longer. But these are perfectly good, and I've been using old ones that I've found on the disc right now, on the angle grinder right now. Nothing wrong with them, but for my money, if I was paying for them myself, I would be putting the ones from Bunnings on, which I think are Makita. I'm just going to go and have a look. Yeah, the Makita ones. They're slightly more expensive, but I seem to get a little bit more life out of them than out of the Tool Pro ones. Although, that being said, the Tool Pro one I'm using at the moment seems to be lasting, so maybe they've upped their game, because I haven't bought that brand from Supercheap for a lot of years. So maybe they've upped their game since the last time I bought them. Maybe other people are having the same issues. But that would be the disc I would be going for. I go down to Bunnings, I buy them there. I'm not sure what they're worth. Haven't bought a pack for a very long time. But like I say, I'm very grateful for the Tool Pro ones, and I'll be using them until they're gone. And I'll be adding the price of these things that gifted into the tally board, but I just might put a little mark next to them to say that they're a gift, that I didn't actually fork out for them. And that's one of the things, you know, people are going to ask you what you want for Christmas, what you want for birthdays, what you want for Father's Day. Well, there's some ideas there, things for your project. Let's talk primers. The other day my son went and bought me this. He's been very generous buying me all this stuff. He bought me this Super Etch, because that's what they use at the work. He's working for a company and they're doing a lot of industrial stairs and handrails and stuff like that. And he bought me this because he said he doesn't want the green limousine going rusty. So if you have a look down here, I've left it too long and now I've got to strip it back again and cause myself a whole heap of work. So I've got to strip that back. Probably today I'm hoping to do that. Strip it back and then I'm going to prime it. That's if the weather clears up. It's been absolute garbage here. I don't know if you can see how grey that is out there, but it's been absolute garbage here. So he bought me this and he said, oh, that's what we use at work. And I said to him, I love you, mate, but I'm not putting that on my car. And he says, why not? He said, we bought the other etch and you use that. But you see, the thing is, there are those who use etch primer because they believe that it's the best thing to put on bare metal. There's a lot of wars about primer on the internet I've seen. All the different styles, the 2-packs versus single packs versus polyurethane versus whatever. Right? And I think most of it's a load of crap. I won't ever put etch primer on a car I'm doing of high quality because I've seen etch primer let go of the steel and I've seen other primers and paints let go of the etch primer. So what a primer is supposed to do is it's supposed to bond to the paint, to the bare metal or to the paint underneath or whatever you're sticking it to, and then what you put on top of that bites into that, so then you've formed good adhesion from your bare metal or your base paint, because not all paint has to be stripped back. If the paint's in good condition you can just do a rub back, but the primers are supposed to adhere to what's on the base, and then they're supposed to allow adhesion from the paint onto the primer. And so with these ones, you can't put base coats or acrylic glosses on top of these. You have to then prime them. And I just think that's dumb, because then you're adding in an extra step. And like I say, I've seen etch primers, all quality brands, not just the super cheap. I've seen the Waddle let go too. I've seen other brands let go. And when I say let go, I mean peel back, paint peel off them. You're not supposed to paint directly on them. You've got to use a different primer. This is what I've been using for about the last probably 3 years. Okay, before this I was using Septone. Love Septone. No issues with Septone whatsoever. Except it's super cheap. Now they don't do the Septone primers, they use this. This, for my money, is the absolute best primer I've ever used in my life. As far as adhesion. It sticks to everything and everything sticks to it. And I may get some hate in the comments over that, but for my first prime on bare metal, or if I was, you know, even sanding back and going to paint on top of an old paint that was still well bonded, I would use this. I can't say enough about it. I've stripped the bonnet on my Commodore back to bare metal and used this. That was about 2.5, 3 years ago. No issues. My Cruiser, I did that whole thing with this. No issues whatsoever. This, for my money, is the absolute best primer you can buy for any money, really. I would use this even if I had a shop and I needed a good single stage primer. This would be what I'd be buying. just because it's super cheap doesn't mean it's crap, you know, and we've got to get out of the mentality of you've got to pay a lot of money for good quality stuff. So, there you go. That's my 2 cents worth. Take it for what it's worth. Free advice, worth every cent. But that's what I'll be putting on. So when I strip that back again today with me coral discs again, and then I'll probably go over it with 400 this baby here, and then I'll prime it to keep it from getting any more surface rust. Now, this being said, all this being said, single coat primers are porous. So if you're going to leave it outside or where it's going to get moisture on for a long time, not a bad idea to chuck a coat of black acrylic over it. What I will be using that particular one for is my guide coat. Because when you put a guide coat on, I don't know how much you guys know about guide coats, you put a spattering, a sprinkling of black or dark, so that's light grey, that's dark grey. You put a sprinkling of light over the top of your panel, in like little dots everywhere, and then you sand it back till there's no dots showing, and that's how you know you've got it all smooth. So I will be using it for that. The reason I used it on the other car a couple of years ago that my son was saying about is that was to put Raptor coat on. That was his car, and so we use this because it said if you've got bare metal you've got to use Raptor coat under edge primer under the Raptor coat. So I would use it for that. So this one here that he's got me, we will probably use that on the floor, underneath and inside, and when we've stripped it back. So we've got to strip all that back and obviously repair any rust or whatever. But so that'll all go back to bare metal, and then we will strip that and prime it with the etch primer, and then I will put Raptor coat on that, and that's what we will use that one for. So it won't go to waste. I felt terrible telling him I wouldn't be using it on the car because he did me a really solid favour, and I really am blessed by it. But you know, I want to put the best on, and like I say, that's, in my opinion, that's the best. And then, just because I'm rambling and I feel the need to keep educating you guys, I will be using 2-pack high build primers to get the panels dead straight. Because in my opinion, for high build, you want 2-pack. This is great for bonding, but it will shrink back, whereas the 2-packs don't tend to shrink back anywhere near as much as the single packs. So, and I found that out the hard way. And that charger, if you've seen the shorts of the charger that I am buffing, or it's in the buff stage on the channel, that was built out with 2-pack high build primer, and then we painted straight over that. So I'm not skimping on my primers. I'm going to use what I believe is the best. So even if that costs a little more money, or if it's not the brand that most people would recommend, I'm going with what I know to work, and I'll bring you along for that journey. Tool Pro from Super Cheap, that's the brand, that's the one I stripped this with originally, still the same disc. So it looks like that now, because I've obviously used it, so it takes that nice crisp edge off. They don't use as well. They don't work as well when I get to that stage, but they definitely still work. So, you know, waste not, want not. I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm going to tell you guys something. It's a do as I say, not as I do. Always have your guard on. I don't. But I'm an idiot. So you, if you're following this channel, should have your guard on. And there's nothing more to really be said about that, because it just makes perfect sense to have your guard on. So ignore the fact that I don't. I'm telling you now, I take no responsibility for you cutting your fingers off because you didn't put your guard on. Makita day today. I've got my Makita shirt on, and that's by happenstance. I went to a trade show the other day and they gave me one for free, and then they gave me a set of thongs, and or as the Americans might call it, flip-flops. Stupid Australians might call them jandals or flip-flops. Smart Australians call them thongs. I hope that doesn't offend anybody. There's very much a difference in the way we speak from east to west though, or west to east. Just got to get me mask, because you know I'm all about the safety, except for my guards. You know that part in Forrest Gump where he goes to see the president again, because he's been so many times and it's not a big thrill anymore, and I went to see the president again. I feel like that. I'm going to sand the quarter panel again. And a time lapse it though, because it'll get boring.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chatting the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but mans keep walking. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch man, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees, I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the. Wake up, get out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah. I hear him chatting the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch man, please use caution. Beg, please get on your knees, came from the jungle, up in the trees. I got a few tricks up in the sleeve. One wrong move, I'ma let out the. Big shoes, check out the crease. Blow like I'm Bigfoot, step on the beat. Make a man's run till he step out the cleats. When the whole place scream, gotta get out the. Yeah, I hear him chatting the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls let it tell me I'm.
Nothing I love more than to do the same job twice. Said nobody ever. So I've taken all the surface rust off it. You can see how beautiful and straight it is. There's just that little bit right there to really worry about. But I'll show you guys how I sort that out down the track. See these little, can you pick them up, camera? See them? I did a bit of a demonstration, I don't think I ever ended up putting it in a video, of the difference between stripper discs, flat discs and the wire wheel. And that's the damage of flaming flap discs did. Which is why I don't use them to strip paint. So yeah, there's that. I'm going to mix up some primer now. I'll show you guys how I do that. Two things I had to say to you. One, I definitely use etch primer on aluminium, stainless steel, that sort of stuff. I didn't mention that before, but I think it's worth mentioning now. So if I had aluminium parts that I was painting, or even over chrome, once I sanded it back, I would be using etch primer on those things, and then a regular primer. But yeah, just for this bare metal, I'm just going to use this this stuff. Now, the other thing, you'll notice that I didn't have cotton gloves on or any of that other garbage that you see on the internet where, oh, you can't let your skin oil get on the vehicle because if you do that, the primer won't adhere. Yes, it will. Never seen primer not stick because somebody touched the metal with their bare skin. If you're handling waxes or silicons or stuff like that, yes, you'll have adhesion problems. But it will adhere if you just put your regular everyday sanding the car hands on it. It's not that bothered by your flipping acids in your skin. It's a load of garbage. And I don't understand where some of these people get their ideas, because like I say, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've never once seen it go, oh no, I can't adhere there because you touched it. And you know, when they put their tape lines on to get their edges straight and stuff, if you want to do that, go for it. You'll never see me do it. Never. I've never ever ever had to do that. I'll show you guys how I do it. There are a million other videos to... Stop. Sorry that's wobbling. They're attacking my foot. They love my blue pants. For some reason they are attracted to trying to pick the bugs off me when I'm wearing my blue pants. Anyway, back to this. When I start getting it straight and going over the line, it's not that that's a problem because that line's almost perfect. In fact, I think it is perfect. I'll teach you guys how I do it. But you can go and have a look on the other videos of other people to see how they do it. I tend to look at it and just think, I don't know what you're thinking you're achieving, but I don't think that my father got them any less perfectly straight than you're getting them, and he's certainly never used tape to find his lines. But, you know, I'm only showing you my way. You got to eat the fruit and spit out the pips and figure out what works for you. So, anyway, I'm going to go and mix up some primer. Alright, that's how much I've got in there, which is there on the tin. So I'm probably going to put thinners into about there. So, I don't know, half again. So what would that be? 2 to 1, I guess. I'll put it to there and then I'll check it. I don't use the cups or anything for the thinners. I go by feel. If I was doing it, like if I was doing the 2-pack high build stuff, I would, but this is single pack or 1K or what do they call it? We would just call it acrylic. But yeah, I'll do that a 2 to 1 mix, and I'll have a look. If I wanted to build it out a bit and then stay camera, make it a bit thicker, then I'll just put less reducer in or thinners in. So you know, some of the 2-pack ones they use acetone and stuff like that. I'll be honest, I'm not an expert on those things because I did all my time doing acrylic lacquers. So I really only got into 2-packs probably the last 10 years I've been playing with them. But for these older cars, you're quite fine to do them in an acrylic. But if you are playing with 2-packs, follow the safety data sheet. Make sure you're doing everything right because it's deadly stuff. It's really dangerous. I never spray without this. I don't even mix it up without this anymore because my lungs took a beating when I was younger. My dad died from emphysema. He was a smoker, but he was also a spray painter his whole life. And he had lung cancer in the end, and my granddad had lung cancer. So, you know, this stuff, even any of it, if you're going to spray it, in my opinion, you put on a mask at the very least. But follow the safety data sheets because that's what's important. They will give you the proper information for the product you're using. So, I'm going to mix this up, 2 to 1. Where to put my spray gun? I lost my spray gun. Oh, I've got my spray gun. Alright, this is a star. Can you read that? How are we upside down? Where are we? Star. I don't love this gun. I thought I would. It's a knockoff of the DeVilbiss. Let me get my DeVilbiss. And I got told that they spray. Oh, identical. That's bull. This is a DeVilbiss finish line. Also known as an FLG. Finish line gun. This is the one I use for my top coats. I'm going to get another one specifically for clears. $2.75, I believe that was. $2.45. Wouldn't bother. Absolutely wouldn't bother. What I would do is I would go to Super Cheap and I would buy one of their branded guns for $40 for my primer. I absolutely would not bother buying another Star gun. And when I took it back for warranty, because it sprays very heavy and it's a 1.4, it gives a very, no matter what I do with the paint and the pressures and stuff, it just gives orange peel. I haven't been able to get around it. And when I took it back for the warranty, no, sorry mate, can't do anything about it. So, and they both need a birthday, they need a good clean out. But for my money, I would go on eBay, and I will put a link down the bottom, and I would buy a DeVilbiss finish line. The gunman, that he rates this as his top budget gun, and that guy, that's a heavy, high praise coming from him. I love it. I think off the gun you get just an excellent result. You don't have to really do anything with the paint job once you finish. It says FLG there, it doesn't say it on the other side, FLG. Like I say, links down in the description. Worth going and having a look. But for your primers, look, I have primed with expensive guns, I have primed with cheap guns, and I really don't see a difference. If you're putting primer on, you're going to sand it back, who gives a rat's. Definitely don't spend big for a primer gun though. I didn't buy this as a primer gun, I bought this as my top coat gun, but on my base coat gun. Never going to run base coat through that again. That'll only ever be a primer gun. This one's excellent. I'm going to clean this right up. This will be what I put my colour on with. And I'm going to get another one specifically for clear. No colour will ever run through that one. That will just be my clear gun. And that way I'll never have contaminations in it. Mosquitoes are out in force today. Couple of things I've got to do. I've got to get my seats out of here, because I don't want to overspray my seats. And I've got to make sure my chickens are out, because I don't want to kill them with the fumes. And then I'm going to prime this baby up. I'll cut you back on when I'm ready. Okay, I've put the cap on. So this is a 1.4. The DeVilbiss over there, the top coat gun, is a 1.3. So the lower the number, the finer the jet. And that's not why this is orange peely, because it's a 1.4. This is just not a great gun, because you can get good finishes off. I've got good finishes off the gun for 1.7. It's just something about this gun. Anyway, that's beside the point. Enough harping on about this gun. With this, I don't tend to filter my primers. I just, unless they're old and really lumpy, but I just mix them up and then I just pour them in the gun. Truth be told, most of the time I just mix them up in the gun. But the problem with that is you'll fill the bottom up with chunks, which I'm having a look now. I need to run some thinners through that and back flush it. So I don't really prime them. I just tend to prime them. I don't really filter the primers. There we go. And got it out. I tend to just mix them up, put them in, and set my gun up, and that's the big thing. You set your gun up before you start priming, and I'll show you how to do that. Give me a minute, I'm just going to run some thinners through this. Alright, I'm just going to run you through some of the basics of a spray gun. Okay, in here you have a needle, right? Let's not have the compressor pop on like we did in the last video. And what the needle does, that's a perfect example, is when the needle's pulled back, it allows the flow, right? And then you push it forward. That's what this spring and this adjustment screw are for. Can you see that? Where are we there? Okay. So the needle sits in here and it pops out that bit. Right? We've got to make sure that's clean. We've got to make sure that's the right one for the nozzle. So if you've got one with interchangeable nozzles, it'll have different different needles, right? And so I've got this set at 30 psi. So you've got that needle in there, and that adjusts. When you adjust that, right, that adjusts how much is coming out. I've got me right. Let me just. Right. As opposed to, I wind it all the way in. Well, not all the way in, but most of the way in. See how it's different? All the way. Nothing's coming out. Adjust it back. A little bit's coming out. Alright? So that adjusts your rate of flow. This here adjusts your fan. Can you see? Where are we? There. Can you see that little mark? That's indicating that that's a skinny fan. Alright. Put the mask on. Right, and then grind it out. That's the fat fan. Right, flat. Skinny. Right. Low flow. High flow. And then you've got this one down here. This dictates how much air is coming through. Wind it out, leave it out. Do your adjustments on your regulator on your compressor. Right? That's just running thinners through it. So that's not bad. Once I put the primer in, I will decide whether it needs to have more or less pressure. And you play around with these things. You get the feel of it. So primer is an excellent thing to start on because it's not as important if you get runs in it or whatever. If you do get runs in it though, wait, rub it out, and make sure you've primed it again and got that really smooth, because I had the Land Cruiser I did, my green Land Cruiser, which I've sold now, that had really high pearl base coat on it, and so I primed it and I got runs in and I didn't give a stuff. I just thought I've had runs in primer before. I didn't even think about it really, and then I just sanded it back, and then I put my black on, and then I was putting my colour on, and so I went primer with the runs, rubbed out the runs, black base coat, and then me green base coat with the high concentration of pearls in it. And then as that was drying and I started putting the clear on, I noticed that everywhere I got a run had raised up, because what happens is the layers started absorbing the thinners, and then the thinners swelled up where the imperfection was, and then the imperfection showed up in the top coat. So it looked like I got runs in my colour, but I actually didn't get runs in my colour. I just didn't put enough care into my priming. So priming, excellent for learning on. Alright, let me just clean this out and then I'll get some primer in and then I'll teach you some more. There's a hole in the top here. Make sure that is clear, because what will happen is it will cause a vacuum in here and it will stop the flow coming out correctly on this side of things. And you'll be trying to figure out what's happening, but what's happened is it's blocked up here. Happens a lot. You've just got to keep clearing that throughout the spray job or whatever. Right. I'm going to show you on this door here. Right. So I'm going to set my fan wide. I'm going to set my fan wide, and then I'll adjust it back in from there, right? And then I'm going to put this, I'm going to turn it in, and then I'm going to come out to about halfway. And that's my starting point. And then I'll adjust it from there. I'm at 35 PSI, I think, on the compressor. Where are we? 30 PSI. I'm going to see what that does. And everything gets played with as you need to, but like I say, you get a feel. This panel obviously has to be stripped back. So I'm just simply priming this panel as a educational purpose for you guys. Alright, so I'll give you a couple of different settings to show you what it looks like. Right, that's a cat's eye. You can see why it's called a cat's eye. And I need to widen it up a bit. Okay, and that one's a bit wider. And then if I go in, you see it's like that. So I want it to be cat's eye. I don't mind my pressure, it's a little high, so I'll wind it in a little bit. And that's all I want it to look like when I'm priming. Okay? Pretty simple. Alright, so that's the first coat done. I'm going to put a second coat on it, but it doesn't like focusing. Yeah, I'm going to put a second coat on it just to really ensure that the moisture doesn't get in for now. Things like this, They've still got to be sandblasted. I'm not worried about them. The sandblast will just eat that straight off. And this dent back here I'll sort out later on. And I've got rust down the bottom to do. But, you know, that's first panel primed. I've got to repair there, obviously. But, yeah. Oh, focus, you beast of a thing. For a first prime, look how dead straight that is. I'm so happy with that line. This is a 49-year-old car. The 1974 model, so turns 50 next year. And it's that straight, down to the bare metal. You know, I can't ask for much more than that. Alright, that's primed, as you saw. A little bit of protection from the weather. I've trimmed this up. So that's about the shape it's going to be now. I took a template off one of the other Valiants up the back there and cut that out yesterday. Next time I'm going to finish stitching that one in. It's tacked in for now, but I'll finish that up. I'll do the inner lip here and put the windscreen lip in. And then I reckon I'm probably going to put some pillars in this thing. So we have had progress. It's slowed down a bit at the moment because things been going on. But yeah, we're getting there. Alright, be kind to one another. It's free to be kind. And be blessed. I'll see you on the next one.